Welcome back. We are going traveling with Travel Talk Radio host Sandy DeVetter. She recently visited Nanjing, China. This morning she joins us in studio to talk about their city life and what makes it one of the most beautiful cities in China. Good morning.
Good morning, Dave.
Now, everybody's heard, good morning to you, everybody's heard of Beijing. Nanjing, yes, a lot of people have heard, but some people, where's Nanjing?
Well, it's one of those major cities in China. Of course, China is very, very large, but you know, you can choose. You can almost put a dart on a board on a map and just say, where am I going to go? And
right.
It's all fascinating in China, really.
Now, why were you there?
I was actually there, and I spoke at a conference there on marketing. We did this about 3 years ago when really tourism was starting to open up in China. So we got our first look of Nanjing in China there. So it was my first trip, and I thought, gosh, it'd be great to share this with our audiences this morning. And as we can see here, this is during the conference, but we're going to get right out into the city. We usually get to take maybe 1 or 2 or 3 days and, you know, take a look at what's going on after our work is done. But this is right here in Nanjing, and this is where Dr. Sun Yat-sen is buried, and he is known as the father of China. He was educated in the United States, all throughout Chicago, D.C., even in San Diego, and Los Angeles, Hawaii, and did a really great job and really cemented relationships with China and America. And we don't really realize that sometimes. But as you go through China and through Nanjing, too, you can see some of the lifestyle there. Very, very interesting.
Now, it looks very quiet and deserted. Now, here's a little bit busier, but it's not by any means, is it? What, 10 million people live in this city?
Most cities have 10, 15 million people.
That's incredible.
It is incredible to watch this. And, of course, you have little areas in the city that you can go and see these little tiny, more like a village aspect to it. But the other aspect is, too, is when you're out there, see some of the factories. And we went into a silk factory, and you can see the mulberry tree here. This is where the actual silkworm lives. There he is. And he actually creates this wonderful larva, and all of this silk comes from this the larva right there, and it's boiled, and then pretty soon you're going to see that they get about 900 meters. What is that, about 2,500 feet?
Yeah, you're with you.
Something
you're
like
on your
that.
Own there, girl.
But there it is. That's a thread that comes out of that little worm.
Wow.
And this is the real big secret in China for thousands and thousands of years.
Now, can tourists take this tour?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's just wonderful to do that. And you can go in there and see how these women are really working with these little eggs, and now they get in there and they stretch it, and they even allow you to go in there. Look at this. It's very difficult to stretch. And you can see here we are trying to stretch it. We can hardly move it. But you can see these women really work hard.
How are the people there? American friendly?
Very friendly, and they're very intrigued. Very intrigued. You won't see very much in signage in English, but the key is, if this is your first trip to China, of course, using a travel agent is very important. Sure. But stay at a Western hotel, and of course, then the language will be, you know, spoken for you and very easily understood. And then you can go venture out into the Chinese, you know, neighborhoods. Always, of course, make sure you've got the name of the hotel on you, so when you get in a cab, that they'll get you back there.
And you mentioned, I don't think you did on the air, but before, as we were talking, some of these monuments, some of these statues are patterned after, or our statues in Washington.
Yes, and the Lincoln Memorial actually has a lot of its feeling from the Nanjing area, from Dr. Sun Yat-sen. Very interesting to go there and see what's going on. And the other thing you'll find out, too, is when you're there, the Chinese will take you and they'll say, may I have a picture of you with my family?
Really?
They're very intrigued with Americans.
All right, Nanjing, China. Thank you so much.
You bet. Great to see you.
Good seeing you. Well, lost at sea, that appeared to be the fate of a Newport